There was still water pooled in the seat when I sat down. I didn't notice it right away, just a slight dampness that soaked through my jeans and clung cold to my skin. But when I shifted, the smell hit me. Not sweat, not spilled drinks. Something sharp, acrid, like bleach. I'd called an Uber late after my shift ended. It was one of those 1 a.m. closes at the diner where your legs ache and the silence in the parking lot feels heavier than it should. I was too tired to wait for the bus. The app said my driver's name was Greg, 4 stars, gray Toyota Camry. No red flags, nothing weird, just a normal ride home. When he pulled up, he didn't make eye contact. He popped the trunk with a click so I could toss in my bag, and I slid into the back seat without a word. The leather was cold. Wet, actually. My hand brushed the seatbelt and came away slick with something that smelled like cleaning solution. I was already in, already buckled, already moving before I could fully process it. The driver glanced at me in the rearview mirror. His face was shadowed, but I caught his eyes flat, almost bored. Then he said it, like it was a joke. "Don't worry, she didn't struggle much." I waited for the punchline. A grin, laughter, even a smirk. Nothing. He turned up the volume on the radio instead. Static crackled into some old song I didn't recognize. He locked the windows. The air went dead. My chest tightened. Every instinct in me screamed to get out. I reached for my phone, but the signal was gone. Gray bars, no service. Not a single bar in the middle of town. That didn't make sense. I said, "Excuse me?" trying to force a laugh like maybe I misheard him. Maybe he was talking on the phone before I got in. Maybe he was weird, not dangerous, but he didn't respond. His eyes stayed on the road. I tried to look around. The car smelled clean, too clean, like someone scrubbed it within an inch of its life. The floor mats were wet. The back of the front seat had faint smudges, like fingerprints or streaks of something wiped away in a hurry. We passed my street. I knew we did. I watched it disappear in the mirror. I leaned forward. Hey, that was my turn. Still nothing. He kept driving. I unbuckled and reached up, trying to grab the shoulder of his hoodie. I didn't care if it was rude, something was off. That's when I noticed the front seat, the passenger seat, the outline of something underneath a tarp, pulled taut and heavy, jammed awkwardly, where no normal luggage would go. I swear I saw hair sticking out the side. My voice cracked. "Let me out." He didn't slow down. I tried the door. Locked. I hit the unlock button. Nothing. I looked back at the road. We were heading down into the industrial part of the city now. Fewer lights, fewer cars, just warehouses and loading docks and empty alleys. I screamed, "Let me out," and slammed my hand on the window. Finally, he spoke again. Quiet, calm. "You shouldn't have sat back there." That's all he said. No anger, no emotion. Just a statement, like a fact. I thought about jumping out, unbuckling, throwing myself into the road. I was ready to do it, but then I remembered the child lock. And just like that, he turned off the main road. Gravel crunched beneath the tires. We were in a lot behind some shuttered loading dock, surrounded by dumpsters and chain-link fences. No lights, just the glow of the dash and the low hum of the engine. He parked, and then he just sat there, hands on the wheel, breathing. I stayed frozen, afraid to move. Finally, he reached down slow, deliberate, and turned off the ignition. Everything went dark. I don't know what changed. Maybe he heard something. Maybe another car turned down the street. But he looked up suddenly, like something startled him, and without a word, he opened his door, got out, and walked around to the trunk. I didn't wait. I threw my entire body against the back passenger door. Again and again. Finally, somehow, it gave. The lock clicked. The door flung open. I ran. I don't even remember where. I just ran. I made it to a gas station half a mile away, barefoot, bleeding, still shaking. The clerk called the cops. They found nothing. No Camry, no Greg, no tarp. The ride never showed up in my app history. The license plate I remembered didn't exist. But I know what I saw. And when I think back to that moment, the way the seat was soaked, the way the bleach stung my throat, I can't stop hearing his voice. "Don't worry, she didn't struggle much." I should have canceled the ride when I saw there were no reviews. But I didn't. I got in the car, shut the door, and locked myself into a stranger's world without even realizing it. It was supposed to be a 20-minute ride. I had been at a birthday party, nothing wild, just drinks, music, and people I barely knew. I was tired and wanted to get home. It was just past 1 a.m., and the air had that damp, end-of-summer stillness. I remember the driver pulled up in a silver Toyota Corolla, lights dimmed, windows slightly tinted. He didn't say much when I got in, just a half nod and a mumbled hey. He looked like any other driver, late 40s, maybe graying stubble, plain hoodie, quiet. There was a faint air freshener smell, pine-scented, like the kind you'd find at a gas station, but it couldn't hide the hint of something else, something like mildew or copper. I should have trusted my gut, but I just plugged in my phone, sent a heading home text, and settled in. For the first 10 minutes, everything was normal. We drove through the city streets, past bars letting out crowds and neon signs blinking in puddles. The soft murmur of the radio played something classical, which struck me as odd, but not creepy, just different. I was half dozing when I felt the turn. It was too sharp, too sudden. I looked up from my phone and realized we weren't on the highway anymore. "Hey," I said, trying to keep my voice steady. "This isn't the right way." That's when I heard it. The doors locked, all 4 of them, one after the other. Not the soft electronic lock, but a deep mechanical clunk that made my chest tighten. He didn't answer right away. He just kept driving, his knuckles white on the wheel. The street lights were gone now, replaced by trees leaning over a narrow 2-lane road. No cars, no houses, just woods. The only light was the pale wash of the headlights on cracked asphalt and leaves swirling in the breeze. "Where are we going?" I asked louder. That's when he finally spoke. His voice was calm, too calm. "Don't scream," he said. "It's almost ready." Something in those 4 words broke something in me. I fumbled for the door handle, yanked it, hit the window, anything. Nothing worked. It was like the car had been sealed. I reached for my phone, but it was already too late. He must have noticed because he glanced at the rearview mirror and added, "There's no service out here. Don't waste your battery." I wanted to scream, to cry, to do anything, but I froze. My breath felt shallow, my fingers numb. I kept thinking, he's bluffing. Maybe he's just trying to scare me. Maybe this is some sick joke. But it wasn't. We drove for what felt like hours, though it was probably 10 minutes. The road curved again and led to what looked like an old, abandoned gas station. The lights above the pump canopy were dead, and the storefront windows were covered in grime and vines. The sign was half missing. He pulled around the back, where there was a single flickering bulb above a garage door, and parked. "Almost ready," he repeated, this time softer. I watched him reach into the passenger seat and grab something, a small duffel bag, black and heavy. He got out slowly, deliberately, like he'd done this before. And then he just stood outside the driver's door, not opening mine, not speaking, just breathing. I could see his silhouette through the windshield. He was pacing now. I tried to think fast. The car was still running. I reached forward, climbed over the console, and slammed my hand against the gearshift. I had no idea what I was doing. My knee hit the horn, a loud, echoing blare that made the man freeze for just a second. That was enough. I threw the car into drive and floored it, tires screeching on the gravel. The car lurched forward, clipped something, maybe his leg, maybe the bag, but I didn't look back. I just drove. I didn't care where I was going. The trees blurred past, branches scratching the sides of the car, engine roaring louder than I'd ever heard it. I hit the main road eventually, headlights from a truck catching me just in time to stop. I swerved, nearly hit a ditch, and slammed the brakes. The driver was gone. The duffel was gone. I reported everything. The car, the man, the detour. But Uber had no record of the ride ever being accepted. My receipt vanished. My ride history glitched and erased itself. Even the license plate I scribbled down didn't match any vehicle in the DMV database. It's been months, and I haven't ordered a ride since. But sometimes late at night I still hear the click of the doors locking, and I swear, I can still hear him whispering, "It's almost ready." I didn't even think twice about using my friend's Uber account. My phone had died halfway through the night, and we were too tired to wait for a charger, so she offered to order the ride for me. She handed me her phone. I confirmed the location, and that was it. A black Honda Accord would be outside in 4 minutes. Driver's name was Jason. Profile pic a little blurry, nothing out of the ordinary. I waited out front, tugging my coat tighter around me, just wanting to get home, peel off my heels, and collapse into bed. When the car pulled up, I got in the back seat without hesitation. I mumbled a quick thanks and started to give directions just in case he hadn't checked the app. But he cut me off with a question that made my skin crawl. He said my name. My real name. Not my friend's, the one on the account, but mine. The name I never gave him. At first, I thought maybe he had recognized me from social media or something, but then he followed it with my apartment number. Not just the building, but the exact number, the floor, the little quirk about the door that sticks unless you lift the handle slightly. I froze. The car was already moving, and for a few seconds I sat there trying to piece it together, to come up with a logical reason for how this total stranger could know where I lived. I asked him, slowly, cautiously, how he knew that information. He glanced at me in the rearview mirror, eyes dark and distant, and said in the quietest, most deliberate voice I've ever heard, "I've been watching you walk home for weeks." He said it like it was a compliment, like it was something he had been saving up to say. My heart dropped into my stomach. I didn't respond, couldn't respond. I stared at the back of his seat, my mind racing with every terrible story I'd ever heard, every news headline I'd scrolled past. I slid my hand down slowly toward the door handle, trying not to be obvious. He noticed. Without taking his eyes off the road, he hit the button to lock the doors, one by one, and said, "Don't try that." The roads he took weren't the fastest way home. They weren't familiar at all. He started weaving through side streets, quiet neighborhoods I didn't recognize, and I knew we were heading nowhere good. I tried to stay calm, tried to think of a way to get out. I asked him questions in a shaking voice, tried to act curious, tried to keep him talking to buy time, but he didn't engage. He just drove in silence, that same creepy half-smile lingering on his face in the mirror. I considered opening the door while the car was still moving, even if it meant tumbling onto the pavement. When we finally slowed down near an empty lot, my pulse spiked. He turned into it and killed the headlights, leaving the car in complete darkness, except for the faint glow from the dashboard. I could hear my own heartbeat pounding in my ears. The silence between us stretched unbearably, and I could tell he was waiting for something, trying to decide what to do. Then, for a split second, a pair of headlights appeared at the far end of the Lot A car, turning in. He cursed under his breath and suddenly shifted the car back into drive. He pulled out fast, turning down the next street without a word. And after a few minutes, we were back in a part of town I recognized. He stopped in front of my apartment complex, the real one, not a block away, not at the front gate right in front of my door. He looked at me through the mirror and said, "I just wanted to see if you'd get in." I didn't move. I didn't speak. I opened the door slowly, never taking my eyes off him, and got out. I backed away until I hit the steps, then turned and sprinted inside. I didn't sleep that night. I filed a report, called the police, showed them the ride history from my friend's phone, but when they pulled the driver's information from Uber, it didn't match anyone with the car I described. The license plate, the photo, the name, they were all fake. To this day, I still don't know how he knew my name or my apartment number. I check over my shoulder every time I walk home. I change my locks. I haven't used a rideshare app since, but sometimes late at night, I get the feeling I'm being watched. And when I pass certain parked cars on the street, I swear I can feel someone's eyes following me, waiting for me to get in again.